for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Today it's going to be before dinner, later in the day. But I'd like to share with you something from this book called Habitudes. It's by Dr. Tim Elmore. It's awesome. It's about big rocks first. And I want to share this principle because we've been teaching about what leadership is. Leadership is not growing followers, it's building leaders. And so this one talks about the fifth lesson in it is big rocks first. Big rocks are like priorities. Could you imagine if you had a jar and you put rocks in there and then you filled it with smaller rocks, then you filled it with sand, then you filled it with water? You could just pack that thing up. But you'd have so much in there, none of it could move around or really ever be done. It's just packed. And that's how our schedules are today, I think. And so this says rocks are like priorities. Only so many rocks can fit in a jar. Only so many activities can fit in your week. If our week is so full trying to do for the Lord, there's no room for him to put anything on our plate. We're really trying to just earn his love when he says, I love you in spite of what you do. And if you just love me, you'd let me put on your plate what I have for you. The main priorities, not the quick checklist of look how much I've done, and we'd have some things going on. So here's the principle. Here's the concept. The issue is not prioritizing our schedules, but scheduling our priorities. The issue isn't prioritizing our schedule, but scheduling our priorities. Put the big rocks in first, the big main things in life that God calls us. Number one, it would be God. Number two, it would be our family. Then it would be our health. It would be our ministry and our work. And it's full. And so Andy Stanley has a book that used to be called Choosing to Cheat. And I'm trying to remember the new name of it, because everybody thought it was talking about cheating on your spouse. In a sense it is, but not in that manner. You choose to cheat. You either do things for work and you steal from the family, or you do for the family and you steal from work. When work and family collide, I think that's the name of it. I really encourage you to read it, because we're not meant to do that. We're to, number one, know we're loved by God, live for God, let him shine brightly in that. Our family, our spouse and our children come next. Our health has to be good. So health comes after we take care of the family. We don't go run out and do all the sports and all the activities and leave the family starving of our time. Work and ministry come in following that. And so there's a line of priorities, and we need to make sure that we are putting in the big rocks. Now, here's the cool thing. If you had a list of 10 things, usually the two that you don't want to get to most, the top 8 are the things we do to show that we've been busy. Look what I've done. But the 2 that are at the bottom need to be at the top. Here's a question I ask a lot of people that have been saved. And sometimes we say, I've been saved for 30 years. It's like, my goodness, that's wonderful. What in your life still has not changed? Don't tell me all the things that have changed. A lot of people want to come in and go, look, I don't drink anymore. I don't go out and party. I read my Bible. I go to church. I tithe. They got this punch list of things that they do. But what I really want to know is what's still the same in your life since you gave your life to Jesus Christ? What haven't you given him? In counseling, we see a lot of people who come in with all these things that are crises to distract from getting to the core issue. Martyrs want to blame everybody else because then they can't be blamed. But in reality, we all have some ownership to the challenges and problems in life. And so we need to get into this point and quit efficiently doing things that never should have been done in the first place, or at least in place one. Stop efficiently doing what should have never been done. The first part of it is to fear the Lord in a good, honoring way and grow in his wisdom. Ask him for wisdom, and from that comes knowledge. The world's all about knowledge and intelligence, but they have no wisdom. Wisdom is from God. Knowledge and intelligence tells you you are God. And so we want to get back to the basic structure. There's a difference between the words, I love you. That's more or less goodbye. Or you're on the phone. Hey, I love you. I got to get going. Bye. Click. But when you hear the words, I am so in love with you, the world stops. I love telling Heather, my wife, babe, I am so in love with you. And we get so busy sometimes. It's, I love you, I got to go, click. Or, hey, I got someone calling on the other line, I'll call you back, click. Hold it, they aren't more important than your spouse. And if they are, then we need to reprioritize. Because when me and her, we become this. There's no longer me and me, it's we. Whether I'm in Mexico and Heather's in Arizona, she's right here with me. We baptized 9 beautiful young ladies this last weekend in a rehab that we've been counseling with and caring with and loving on these girls, and they've given their life fully to Jesus Christ. Heather was in Arizona, I was in Mexico, but we baptized them. This is never my ministry. It's our ministry that God's given Heather and myself. Heather goes and does things. She's got Bible studies and stuff. That's not her ministry. That's our ministry that we're doing together, even though we physically may be apart. Does that make sense? See, the issue isn't prioritizing your schedule, but scheduling your priorities. God, family, health, ministry, and work, and studies, and cool things like that come in. We get all mixed up, but have those tend to come along also. So once we get the big ones, the big rocks in there, the priorities, 80% produces, 20% produces 80%. 20% of the people do 80% of the work. Here's some stats that comes out. 2% of your time, 80% of adults. And in work, 20% of people do 80% of the work. Growth. 80%. The programs furnish 80% of the growth. 20% of the people get 80% of the money in church. Get 80% of what comes in tithe. Lead 20% of the people make 80% of the decisions. Reading 20% of the book provides 8% of the helpful hints in. Sir, pastor, sorry, but I'm going to speak to us. 20% of the sermon offers 80% of the impact. The problem is we don't handle our present schedule well. We get distracted. It's about let me say again, it's not about prioritizing our other scheduling priorities. James made a comment to me, oh my goodness, this was a couple of years. Schedule my day so I'm not busy. And I say, so you're not 2 days? No, so I'm not. See, I want to put onto the plate. And if I've got the plate so full I don't hear them or have any room, then I'm never giving full effort into what needs to be given. If I don't turn my work time and have wife and children and family time, then my work is stealing from my family. And my family can steal from my work too. Sometimes very needy people at home that aren't really understanding how to lift up their spouse. Heather this morning prayed over me. Psalm 111. Oh, awesome. She prays for me. And believe it or not, I feel the strength of the prayer that God holds. Revelation says that the prayers that we have will be poured out in end times. It's amazing. Our prayers are saved up, and I feel them. And that's a spouse that's lifting up her husband. As my arms go up like this, hers are right behind me holding my arms up. Isn't that beautiful? Mark 1:32 through 38. I want us to take a look at this real quickly. Let me grab the Bible here. Mark chapter 1. Matthew, Mark, second book in the New Testament, first chapter, verse 32 says this. that evening after sunset, many sick and demon-possessed people were brought to Jesus. The whole town gathered at the door to watch. I mean, could you imagine your town, the whole town, not just your block, but the whole town came to watch. So Jesus healed many people who were sick with various disease, and he cast out many demons. But because the demons knew who he was, he did not allow them to speak. That's massive in its own, but we'll talk about that another time. Now, this is the next day. Before daybreak the next morning, Jesus got up and went out to an isolated place to pray. See, he broke the schedule to go do what was priority. He wanted to spend time with the Father to make sure he was doing what the Father wanted him to do, not what people wanted him to do. He could have easily gone right back in and kept the same thing going on and busy. He would have never gone anywhere else because the whole town was at his doorstep. Later, Simon Peter and the others went out to find Jesus. When they found him, they said, "Everybody's out here looking for you." But Jesus replied, this is really huge. See, his time in prayer gave him direction of where to go because he had the big rocks in his schedule, not all the other busyness. We must go on to other towns as well, and I will preach to them too. That is why I came. He was not distracted. And we need not to be distracted either, you guys. So let me pray with you. Father, right now, I pray that we will open up these schedules and make sure that, number one, not just that we're putting you first, that our heart desires to have you first. And Lord, teach us to quit inefficiently doing or efficiently doing what we never should be doing. Keep us back to the basics, Father. Men, Lord, give us men the wisdom to be in love with our wives, not just to love them and give them stuff. Once we catch them, that doesn't mean we don't pay attention. It means we didn't catch them. First off, God gave them to us and us to them. And we're supposed to fellowship together and the two become one, not one conquering the other. It's willing and knowing the wisdom God put us together. Where I'm weak, Heather's strong. That's beautiful. And so, Lord, would you do these changes in us one day at a time? And we praise you in Jesus' name. God bless you guys. Remember, clear the plate. Don't be busy. Make sure your whole life is all about sharing Jesus Christ, especially with your family and your children and grandparents and grandchildren. It goes both directions. All right, we love you. God